Today, our focus text leans into the concept of last things. And I know that you know all about last things because you are a human being living in this world. I mean, you're taking breaths, you're alive, so you know about this. There are the last things that you know about. These are milestone events, birthdays, graduations, moves, time markers, like this one. Where were you on December 31st, 1999? The last day of the 20th century. Now, if you grew up and were raised in the 1900s like I did, you remember exactly where you were that night, what you were doing, what it felt like as the calendar flipped to forever a different century. It's kind of cool. And then there are the last things that you don't know about, the ones that just show up unexpectedly, like car accidents and medical emergencies, a conversation that doesn't go the way you thought it would, and suddenly everything changes. The fact that we know we will experience both planned and unplanned last things, that is part of what it means to be human. I really don't think that my dog, for example, is sitting around contemplating the last walk she'll ever take. That's not what she does. And if she were able to do that, she would not be so stinking happy all the time. She would not be wagging her tail. But we're different. We carry this awareness with us, and sometimes it is heavy. Let me give you a few examples. So last month was my 10-year work anniversary here at Bethlehem. And while I vaguely remember my beginning here, I very clearly remember what was happening 10 years and 1 month ago. I spent over 6 years in Wilmer, building relationships, walking with families, making hard decisions with leaders, and I remember very clearly my last time there. That Saturday, walking in through the side door, taking the last box out of my office, leaving my keys on the desk. It was this strange mix of loss and excitement. Even though it was my choice, even though it was a good thing, there was something about that last moment that just felt off, like a chapter of my life had closed, whether I was ready for it or not. In about a month, our oldest graduates from high school. These are her last moments as a high school student, and her last moments as a gymnast, that thing that she does that she loves, right? And for Emily and me, these are the last moments of her living at home. Maybe. I hope. She hopes. I've heard stories from others about this. But regardless, things are changing. They always do. And then 2 years ago this month, my dad died. And last week, we ran the Tom Peterson 5K on the runway, a race in his memory supporting aviation students at Mankato State University. And as we always do this, or have been doing this last couple of years, I remember the last day I had with him. And I'm guessing it's the same for you and your loved ones. That last conversation, that last moment. The last things stick with us, for better and for worse. The last day of a bad job, man, that is a great day. The last doctor's appointment where everything changes, not so much. We don't always handle last very well, because every last comes with the question, what now? And that's where we meet Jesus in John's Gospel. A little while, and you will no longer see me. And again, a little while, and you will see me. Then some of his disciples said to one another, what does he mean by saying to us, a little while, and you will no longer see me? And again, a little while, and you will see me. And because I'm going to the Father. They said, what does he mean by this a little while? We do not know what he's talking about." Jesus knew that they wanted to ask him, so he said to them, "Are you discussing among yourselves what I meant when I said, 'A little while, and you will no longer see me, and again a little while, and you will see me'? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will have pain, but your pain will turn into joy. When a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come, but when her child is born, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy of having brought a human being into the world. So you have pain now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. On that day you will ask nothing of me. Very truly I tell you, if you ask anything of the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, so that your joy may be complete." Okay, so I have to tell you, chapters 13 through 20 in John's Gospel, that's 8 chapters, they tell the story of Jesus' arrest, trial, death, and resurrection. That's the passion narratives of John, 8 chapters. But here's the thing that I want you to know. 5 of those chapters, that's over 60%, are focused on one night. Jesus' last night. That is a disproportionate amount of time to focus on one single evening. In John's Gospel, the last things matter. On that night, Jesus washes his disciples' feet. He names betrayal. He predicts denial. He commands love. He tells his disciples he's leaving. He tells them it's going to be hard. He promises they won't be alone. He speaks of the Spirit. And then he says this. It's our focus text today. Your grief will turn into joy. And if we're honest, that can sound a little too neat. That all of these things happen and then poof, it's okay, you'll be fine. Grief turns to joy. Because we live in a world that loves quick fixes. Give me the steps. Give me the formula. Give me the 10 things I need so I can move through from grief to joy as efficiently as possible. I feel that there are a lot of people who treat faith like a life hack. Like that's what they're looking for, something easy and simple to take the edge off of life. But Jesus doesn't do that. It's important to place our focus text in the larger context of this passion narrative, and specifically in this last night that he's with his disciples. Because Jesus doesn't say, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." He doesn't skip over the pain, he names it. He tells everybody there with him that your community will break. There will be betrayal, and boy, it will be hard. But you are not alone. You are called to love, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, joy will come eventually. And that word matters, eventually. Because what Jesus is describing is not a shortcut, it's a transformation. It looks less like flipping a switch and more like learning how to breathe again in a life you didn't choose. So what do we do with that? Because this isn't theoretical. You're sitting here or wherever you are right now with your own lasts. Some that you chose, some that you didn't. Some that you're grieving, some that you're trying not to think about. So what do? We start smaller than we want to. We acknowledge the loss instead of pretending that we're fine. We resist the urge to rush to everything happens for a reason. We give ourselves and others permission to not be okay yet. And then we do the next loving thing. Not the big thing, not the perfect thing, the next thing. It's maybe a phone call, it's maybe a conversation. It's showing up when it would be easier not to. It's letting someone show up for you, which for some of us is actually harder. Because on that last night, Jesus didn't give his disciples a strategy for avoiding grief. He gave them a way to move through it. Stay connected. Love one another. Trust that you are not alone. And over time, often longer than we would like, something begins to shift. Not all at once, not in some dramatic movie scene kind of way, but slowly, quietly. You find yourself laughing again, and it surprises you. You feel a moment of peace and you didn't expect it. You realize that while something ended, you did not. And maybe this is where the Spirit shows up. This is the story of Easter that we celebrate. This story does not remove grief, but it helps us through it by holding us steady long enough for something new to grow. So here's my takeaway from all of this. We don't get to skip our lasts. We don't. We walk through them together, trusting that God is already at work turning them into something new. And if you need something even simpler to hold on to this week, well, maybe it's this. When you don't know what's next, do the next loving thing. This is what Jesus taught his disciples on his last night. That's it. Not everything, just the next thing. Because that's how grief begins to loosen its grip. That's how joy begins to take root. That's how endings over time become something more than just endings. And maybe, just maybe, the joy Jesus is talking about isn't waiting for you on the other side of your lasts. Maybe it's already beginning right in the middle of them. That is the good news that we hear today. Thanks be to God for that. Amen. As a way of going deeper into this story and applying it more directly to your life, a couple of reflection questions for you today. So again, feel free to pause the video after we read the request, after we tell you the questions, and then use them to your benefit as you journal about them, think about them, have a conversation about them. But here's question number 1. What last are you currently carrying that you haven't fully acknowledged? And what would it look like to name it honestly? Here is number 2. Where in your life are you trying to rush past grief or discomfort? And what might change if you slow down enough to actually walk through it instead? And because our faith is not just a matter of our head, of reflection, but actually a practice, a way of life, a road to walk, here is a challenge for you this week, should you choose to accept it. So here we go. Once a day this week, preferably at the same time each day if you can, stop for 2 minutes and do 3 simple things. 1, name one last or loss you're carrying right now. 2, notice what you're actually feeling about it. And 3, sit in silence and breathe without trying to fix it. Just acknowledge it.